All right.
The
Back
synchronized clap.
Back at it again. Full-time movie fans, welcome back.
We're here.
I'm your host, Jarvis. Daniel, a.k.a. Jarvis. Just call me Jarvis. It's my host.
Jarvis.
You introduce
Michael, a.k.a. Jarvis.
Michael, a.k.a. Jarvis. Number 2. Yeah, so I think this one I'm really excited for. This is a movie that I've liked a lot. I don't think that... And you'd never seen it, which shocked me.
Yeah. Also, the first movie that we've watched together for this.
Yeah, that's true. I'd seen this movie many, many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we should start doing this. Spoilers if you haven't seen it. I don't think we really give a spoiler warning. Well, this is an older movie.
I really feel like if somebody's watching a podcast about movies, they should go in with the anticipation that they're gonna.
Some
get
people
spoiled.
don't. Some people like to just watch the review or
I've got
the
this.
thing and not watch the movie first. I don't know.
This is for the people and the editor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can just cut this out, save it for literally every other time. Hey, full-time movie fans, just so you know, we're treading some harsh waters every single time we go into one of these. If you've not seen the movie, you need to. Otherwise, you will know everything about the movie going into it. This is not a spoiler safe zone.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. I also want to say too first is that like, I mean, everybody's different, right? And there's different levels of movie fans.
Yeah.
I think we, the name of the show is Full-Time Movie Fans.
Yeah.
I love movies. I love watching movies. Someone says, hey, let's go watch a movie. I'm like, okay, down almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I would say I'm an above average movie going person. There are some people that are, and full-time, there's a spectrum within full-time, right? Full-time at a job, 40 hours. Some would say 30 hours. to
Anywhere between,
35 hours.
legally 30 to 40 hours is full.
Yeah, so some people are 30-hour full-time fans.
So
I'm a
that's-
40-hour.
I
feel like you're above hour. You do some over OT.
like 10 to 15 movies a week. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You're OT. My buddy Clint again. Hopefully, I think I mentioned him at least once an episode. Hopefully, he'll be on at some point. But he does massive overtime. I think the most that movies he's seen new movies.
Yeah.
Not just ones that he's seen before.
Yeah, he keeps up.
Like I think he did like 65 or 70 movies one year. Like so that's actually kind of crazy.
That's pretty
so
good.
he's a full-time movie fan plus.
Yeah.
But there's some people who like, you go maybe like, I don't know, once every couple of months or something like that. So I don't know where this movie falls. I think it's just a great movie. I think everybody should see it. But there are definitely some movies that we talk about that not everybody is gonna like. You might be one of those people, but again, I'm a full-time movie fan. I love movies. You're a full-time movie fan. You love movies in a different, deeper way than I do. But I enjoy.
Yeah. My time with movies is ironically rarely spent watching them. It's more so that, like, I will take a movie and I'll watch it, right? So it's like hour, half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours of my time.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, it's like 7, 8, 9 hours of just like digging into the process.
Yeah. So that being said, dude, this is one of my favorite. I actually really, really love this movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it right now. I know there's one person I've been, you know who you are. I've been telling you to watch this movie, and I think you're getting there. Hopefully, by the time this comes out and gets published, you've seen it already. But
Otherwise, why are you watching this?
yeah, if not, then I guess you just watch it.
When I speak, you need to pay attention.
You'll see what we think about it in the review and whatever. But it's Training Day.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done a movie yet with Denzel Washington in it, or Ethan Hawke.
I'll just break the ice right now. Can't believe Denzel dies at the end.
Oh my god!
There we go. See, now
that's the
if you don't like that, maybe watch the movie first. All right. So now that we've gotten the warning and the actual danger out of the way.
well. See now. Here's the thing. You got to finish the review to know whether he was making a joke about.
That's
Denzel
also
back or
true.
not.
Yeah,
Because
that's also true.
Maybe he's telling the truth. I don't know. You got to watch through the whole thing.
Rest
But
in
this
peace.
movie, okay. So if you ask me, Denzel, I mean, like when I think of top caliber actors, I think Denzel. Like I'm sure there are other actors before my time. They're just like, oh man, this guy. But Denzel to me, like most of the movie projects that he picks, I mean, no actor I think has a quote unquote perfect filmography, but like Denzel, like his acting is top tier, and
Yeah.
most of the movies that I watch with him in them, I enjoy a higher level than most.
That's very good.
So
I mean, we're talking about, just for other people's references, we're talking like Fences, Book of Eli,
good one.
Roman J. Israel Esquire,
Yep.
Magnificent Seven.
Who didn't so the director of this movie, Antoine Fuqua, didn't he also do Magnificent Seven? I think he did. With Denzel and Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke was also
Yeah,
in
he
that
directed it,
Yeah.
but the writer for that one was Akira Kurosawa, which
So-
anybody who knows that name, it's Seven Samurai.
one. Oh, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's also very good. Definitely go see that too.
I mean, I think of movies. I think Antoine Fuqua also did The Equalizer with Denzel. And
believe
Equalizer
so.
2. I love those movies. I loved in the same vein. Denzel also was in Man on Fire, which Michael, you and I have talked about this.
Yeah,
We've talked specifically, like if you like the movie Taken, Man on Fire is, in my opinion, a
better
much
version?
better version of Taken.
Yeah.
With what's his name? How am I blanking on his name?
I promise you, we do watch
We
movies.
do. You know what? When it comes to recording, it's just one of those brain farts things that happen. But anyways, so Training Day, dude. I know I was hyping this up. You hadn't seen it. One of the things I want to mention right off the bat, besides Ethan Hawke, Denzel Washington, is this whole movie takes place in the span of a day. And
Yeah,
like, when,
that's fun.
Even when you were watching, you were just like,
Yeah, it's
bro,
definitely-
it's like this. It's like a whole like. I feel like a whole year's worth of experience.
he basically had
in one day.
We saw them basically have what, two? I think 3 meals, 2 meals, 2 meals, 2 naps. Went across town, went back across town,
Yeah,
went back across town again.
yeah.
Had a couple of shootouts.
At least a few.
Stopped a couple of thugs.
Well, yeah. Let's
so many
walk through
things.
it. So like it opens up with Ethan Hawke, and I've watched.
Right.
I've watched interviews with Ethan Hawke. He talks about this. He's just like, dude, working with Denzel is like something else. And so, it's just, he says it was just like such a great experience to like work with, watch Denzel work. Obviously Antoine Fuqua has done a lot of work with Denzel.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I can only imagine the kind of energy that he brings and the presence he just brings to a movie set. You know what I'm saying? But Ethan Hawke is also fantastic actor, dude. He's done so many things, and like I don't even like horror movies, but I watched Sinister. I was like, oh my gosh, this movie's fantastic. Ethan Hawke's amazing. And so Ethan Hawke, the movie opens up his day at, was it like 6 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
His alarm goes off.
Something like that.
And his wife's already up feeding their newborn baby.
Yeah.
He's
Had
a cop.
breakfast.
He's wants to progress in his career. He has a wife, just had their first kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very ambitious, I think. So obviously he gets a call. So he's actually, I mean, the movie's called Training Day. So basically he's going to be training with Denzel Washington's character.
Yeah, to be a narc.
Yes, to work in the narcotics unit, and he wants to make detective, and just to have a career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the presence is immediately known. Like once he gets to, so they meet at a diner at 10 o'clock. So that to me is when the clock starts on the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
because he's officially training.
Yeah.
10 o'clock. They're at a diner, and Alonzo. Alonzo is Denzel's character's name.
Yes.
Alonzo is reading newspaper, and you immediately know that this guy does not give 2 fucks about you, or like he's about his own business, and like like you're just a side character in his world. Like he's reading his newspaper, and of course, Jake Hoyt.
Yeah, Jake Hoyt
is Ethan Hawke's character, and he sits down at the table, and Lonzo offers him to get some food. He's like, oh, and he's like,
no, I already ate.
He's like, all right, well,
great,
no need. And he's reading his newspaper, and Jake's he doesn't know what to expect. He's just sitting there in silence, so he tries to talk to him.
Yeah.
And immediately Alonzo's like, okay, look, man, I'm trying to read my newspaper here.
Yeah.
So, tell me a story, entertain me, because this is my entertainment for the moment.
Yeah.
And immediately he lets him know, like, hey, man,
you are not interesting.
yeah, exactly. And so he already puts, obviously, I think that's intentional on Lonzo's part. Is to assert his dominance.
And
like, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
You do what I say, and make sure that he knows the pecking order. What was your, because we watched it together, like we said, but what was your first thoughts about just that scene, that whole scene in the diner?
Oh, the whole thing can basically be summed up with the, go ahead and get yourself something to eat. Oh, no, it's okay. I already ate breakfast. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'll get myself. Nope, you fucked that one up.
Yep.
That's the best way to sum up that whole interaction.
Yeah, and then from there...
it's basically that over and over and over.
It is.
For the rest of the movie.
That is a very good point. It's that over and over and over through the whole movie. It starts off small.
And it always gets bigger.
The next
and bigger.
time, it's a much bigger emotional experience, and it's a much bigger, even the stakes.
Yeah.
At different points in the movie. That's actually a very good point you make there, because I think after that, the first thing they do is they go to one of his informants' spots where he deals.
Yeah.
Just a guy that Alonzo could bust but doesn't, because he feeds him information on the streets.
Yeah.
And so a young kid, they see a deal go down, and they go to purposely harass the people that bought it.
Mm-hmm. Just to show them.
I mean, they scare the crap out of them. They're young kids, like college age, I think.
Yeah.
They take their money, they take the drugs, and that is to be used later for buying drugs later. They take the money. And one thing that Alonzo does, and again, when you watch these things, at the end it all adds up. But
it does.
He makes he does talk to Jake about his wife, right? And then Jake, the young cop, he just starts to get, hey man, don't talk about my wife like that. You know what I mean? Don't talk about my wife.
Yeah.
And Alonzo, I mean, watching it, you're like, dude, he makes good points. Throughout the whole movie, you're just like, oh, he stepped over the line, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, actually, that kind of makes sense.
That's for a reason, yeah.
I get it. Like, and so he definitely gets Jake when he says, hey, you need to bury that. Your love for your wife, he said, look, when you're out here with these guys, they don't care. If they find out that you have a weak spot, they will extort it and they will use it. He said, take off your wedding ring. And he said, and you need to not be that sensitive when it comes to those types of things. It makes tons of sense. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. The next thing he does is he
makes some smoked PCP.
Yeah, which explain that scene. Explain how that goes down, because it's actually really crazy. So they're going through like an intersection. He just stops in the middle of the intersection.
Stops in the middle of the intersection. He tells Hoyt to smoke the pipe, which he thought was just weed.
Yeah. Well, he kind of presented it as
he did present it like it was just weed. And Alonzo is being like kind of jokingly pushy up to the point where Jake's like, no, I'm not gonna, this is a test, and I'm also a good cop, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
And Alonzo puts a gun up to his head and he goes, smoke it.
Yeah.
And you kind of, as the watcher, you kind of get the impression of like, this is probably something that's happened to Alonzo with somebody else, to the point where he's like trying to teach this newbie a lesson, right?
Yeah.
Which after Hoyt smokes it, we learned that no, that's actually never happened to Alonzo. He just bullied the new guy into smoking what he thought was weed, which actually was PCP. Which is a whole other conversation they had like 2 scenes later. When he was like, "When's the last time you smoked?" And he was like, "I smoked weed in college." And Alonzo goes, "Oh no, in high school." In high school, and Alonzo goes, "I didn't know you liked the hard stuff. That was PCP." And this like, oh shit.
Yeah. Then he realizes, like he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get drug tested later. It's gonna show up in my blood work. I'm gonna get fired."
Yeah.
And he starts freaking out, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's in line. The thing about Jake Hoyt is he's a very much straight and
Very
narrow,
by the book.
very by the book kind of guy.
His goal isn't to be a narcotics officer. His goal is to be a detective.
Right. Yes. His goal is to make detective, have a career, and one of the ways to do that is by working for Alonzo. He has a good reputation. He's put a lot of criminals away, according to his own speech that he gives to him later on. But one of the things that Jake says is like, "No, I don't. Like, I'm a cop to get drugs off the street.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it."
Yeah.
And Alonzo again makes a very valid point.
It does.
Is that if you are trying to get the source of these drug dealers, and so you're undercover,
You have to instill trust.
And someone offers you some drugs to take, and you say, "Oh no, bro, sorry," they're gonna be like, "Is this a cop?
Yep.
Are you a cop?"
Yep.
And like
which also shows very early on, because they go to one of the bad neighborhoods. He has Hoyt roll down the window and
using the money that they took from the kids earlier.
Yeah, and
Alonzo tells Jake to like.
Yeah, he rolls down the window and goes, "I'd like $20 of cocaine."
Yeah,
and it's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg's character's like, "Nah, you're a fucking cop."
He really looks over at Alonzo, and he's who's kind of just lighting a cigarette, kind of looking away, and he's like, "Smells like bacon up in here."
Yeah,
and he's like, "I ain't stupid." He rolls around,
and rolls off.
Alonzo's just like, "Well, go get him," and he's like, "Oh my gosh." And so, and here's dude. One of the things that I love so much about this is such a small detail, is that throughout this whole movie, you're gonna hear one word about Jake a lot, and it's rookie.
Yeah, rookie.
You're a rookie, and like,
he's green. He's wet.
I think by the end of it, it just kind of wears. And like, I remember when they do that fake warrant, he's like, "Come on, give me a break." Like everybody's calling him a rookie. But yeah, so they use the money from the first or the second, I guess, scene where they're together. To buy this crack, to get information from this guy. Again, they don't arrest him, which Jake is also very upset about. He's like, "Why aren't we
like each of these people?
Why aren't we arresting these guys? Why didn't we arrest those kids? Why didn't we arrest that?"
And Alonzo's like, "You want to sit down and do all the paperwork? Do you really think that that's going to do better for everybody?"
Yeah, his mindset is very much, look, we don't get, the little goldfish, okay? We're looking for the big catches here. We're not trying to catch these small time guys. Like the small time guys we keep alive so they can lead us to the big guys.
Yeah.
And that's what even Snoop Dogg's character was. He's like, "I need you to tell me about this guy. Where is he? Like who's the big name out there right now?"
Yeah.
And so again, it's as Jake goes by, he also you're experiencing it the same as Jake is. You're like, okay, that seems a little extreme, but it makes sense in the real world. Like when he's doing his thing, it's like, okay, I get it, makes sense. But man, it's this constant thing every different. I mean, seem like hour with Alonzo and Jake, right? That Jake is just he has to face what he believes is right versus what is functionally right. Like, what does it take to actually complete the goal? It may not be in the book. It may not be in the the code or what his training was,
Yeah.
And I think because I think that scene is the next scene, also very important to later on in the movie. I think because I think it is before or it's after Snoop, right? Where they're going and then Jake's looking out the window, or is that before Snoop?
That was before.
Okay.
Jake was pretty sober by the time that they got to Snoop.
Oh,
Because they took that. Yeah. We skipped the whole scene with Roger.
Oh, they did go and see Roger.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie, it's one that you're going to want to watch several times. But yes, there was Roger.
Yeah.
Roger was after the technical next.
Is a break.
Yeah, so
is a short break.
So the diner, and then they go get the money from the kids.
That one
and
bust.
They go visit a guy named Roger, who is seemingly a friend of Alonzo.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of talk, and he's like, "Oh, hey, here's the new guy," and kind of razzes him a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jake is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty still high or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've never been on PCP. I don't know what's it like being on PCP.
Snoop. I have no idea.
Can you share with? Okay. He's never been on PCP.
Let me
supposedly.
From what I hear, no, I don't. I really have no clue.
Don't do drugs, kids. I think we did. We said that in one of our other. Don't do drugs.
We have to have.
No, you literally opened up the show with.
Oh yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, I did.
And so this scene, break it down for us, man. So after Roger, because it establishes his character as Roger, somebody that Lonzo knows. Mm-hmm. They've known for a long time.
Another friend,
they have
informant,
history. And then they're driving over, I guess, to do the deal with Snoop.
Yeah,
and he's still kind of, he's still high, looking out the window as they're driving by.
Yeah, that's where he's like, man, I didn't know that you liked the hard stuff. And then they go to, I think that's when they go to the restaurant with the other bigwigs.
No, not yet.
What happens?
So he's looking out the window. He's still pretty messed up. Mm-hmm. And then he sees that girl.
Oh,
in the alleyway.
Yeah, she's getting assaulted in the alleyway. And Hoyt has Alonzo completely just stop the car. And he hops out and he goes and stops this assault, which it's so unprofessionally done. And he's
what do you mean?
Two men in an alleyway trying to assault this woman, and this young girl, she's 15, 14, yeah. Yeah.
So she's ditching school.
Yeah, and Hoyt's throwing punches on these dudes, and Alonzo backs up the car, gets out of the alley. Lights a cigarette, hangs out for a couple minutes, watches Hoyt getting his ass kicked. Hoyt eventually cuffs both of the dudes, and they're just on the ground, and Alonzo walks up and is like, nice going, man.
Yeah.
They definitely had you going for a minute.
He's like, man, you got mad squabbles, boy. I think it's
yeah.
And then he's like, oh, thanks for the help, man.
Yeah, and Alonzo basically just takes the money out of both of the guys' pockets and is like, all right, get out of here.
Yeah, he takes their money. I think he whatever drugs they have on him, he destroys it.
Yeah.
He
broke the pipe.
He lets the girl go. He says, "Hey, look.
Yeah, go get your cousins to take care of you."
Yeah, because she mentions her cousins are part of
the cartel.
Yeah, in L.A. Hillside 13.
Yeah, exactly.
No, she says so her family is part of the gangs.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, go home.
Yeah,
just get safe.
Get them to cover you.
We'll take care of this."
Yeah. and then Hoyt's like, "Why aren't we taking these guys in?" He's like, "You can go take these guys in. We got bigger things to deal with."
I know. And so again, it's one of those things where he's headbutting with Hoyt is headbutting with Lonzo about ideologies and what should be done and what's right. But this is one of those scenes where Lonzo, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's freaking nuts, because he destroys this guy. Mm-hmm. He he's threatened him with a knife. He has both of his guns just in his face, and he's just playing around, rubbing them together. Like, come on, man, you calling me a liar? You said this earlier. You told me to, and all these things. And then he literally puts his guns together and pistol whips him in the balls. And then he's like, all right, Jake, let's go. And Jake is pretty pissed after that. And then, of course...
But then they get in the car, and Alonzo's like, so that headlock thing that they told you not to do in the academy, that's by the book, right?
And then he's like,
sometimes you have to do what you need to do.
Yeah, and that's what he makes a point.
And Alonzo's like,
exactly. Exactly. And
it's almost like the whole day. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
But they bump heads, and he's like, those guys need to be in prison. And he's like, no, look, they're already having a bad day. They didn't get to rape that girl. We got rid of their drugs. We took their money. Like, what more do you want? He said probably her cousins are gonna come smoke these guys. What more do you want? He's like, justice. He's like, is that not justice?
Yeah,
he's like,
street justice.
And he's like, what's wrong? And Lonzo's like, what's wrong with that? Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, so you just want the animals to wipe themselves? He's like, God willing, let them just wipe each other out. And so, but again, it's a cool moment, I think, in that scene is that no matter what, he's even in their headbutting, Alonzo's still like, he's still very much like, I'm right, you're wrong. Yeah. But he takes a moment and he talks to Jake and he says, hey.
Oh, this all happens before Roger.
Okay. Yeah. So he says, no matter what I say, you did the right thing. Yeah. Alonzo does say that. So to me, to be honest with you, man, that I think just in real life as a person, mm-hmm. it takes a lot of self-awareness to admit when you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And even a guy like Alonzo, who's very like high on his own self, like he's the man, it shows that there's still a level of, hey man, he recognizes right from wrong. And he says, hey, look, no matter what I say to you, dude, you did the right thing. You protected that innocent girl and you helped her out. Yeah. And he admits that. To me, that's a big moment, okay? And then, I don't know. I just love that, that whole exchange. Every scene, man, it's so good. So after this, they go to Rogers. After Rogers...
something that happens at Rogers is Roger talks about Alonzo's vacation in Vegas. And Alonzo's like, it's not a big deal.
It is a okay. Alonzo says it's not a big deal. It's a very big deal.
I already got it taken care of. He mentions that the Russians are after him because of something that happened in Vegas, but we don't get told anything else from that point. And Alonzo's like, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
He's like, I got it handled, which he doesn't.
Yeah. And then all that happens. And then Alonzo says, hey, you just smoked PCP. And then they go talk to the big time detectives.
Guys, forgive us a little bit here. There's a lot that goes on in this movie.
I got the synopsis up now, so now we're following properly.
Good. Yeah, so there's a lot that goes on in the movie, but I freaking love it because there's so much character development. It
is really nice.
You really get to see Denzel Washington's character.
Well, and that there is actually so in writing and in storytelling, there's an A story and a B story. And in this one, it's like, hey, there's not enough time for an A story and a B story, right? Yeah. There's still an A story and a B story. We just don't get to know what the B story is, or we don't get to see the A story actually until the very end. We think that we're following Jake the entire time. We're actually following Alonzo. So the B story is the training day. The A story is everything that happened right before, all the way to the end of the actual movie.
Yes, it started before we are introduced to the character.
Which is kind of neat. It's a neat way to do things.
I do.
But as you were saying, when they were talking about how Hoyt was freaking out because he's going to fail a drug test and whatever, Alonzo's like, they're not going to drug test you because they're on our side. Like everybody that you're worried about works below me.
That's Alonzo's thing is like, I know people. Yeah. Whether it's his informants, whether it's his crew, whether it's higher ups, which we see later on. He meets with the three wise men, as he calls them.
Or people that are scared to get booked by him.
Yeah. He's like, look, I got a buddy booking or whatever, they're not gonna
Yeah.
test you. He gives me
you'll
a
be
heads up when they're
perfectly
gonna
fine.
do the random drug testing, like
Yeah, we
or
know a
he'll-
week in advance.
Yeah, and or he'll, it's a non-issue for him, is basically what
Right.
he's saying. So
And
Alonso,
so-
that's
yeah.
the guy. He knows people.
And that's exactly when he goes and shows him the people and walks in and is like, these are my buddies. And then has Jake go and sit down. And those guys are like, sorry, we don't talk to dead men.
Is that okay? Is that before or after he takes him to his?
He does it after.
Okay, so they actually go to
Oh, I guess it actually isn't telling me, but
yeah, because at one point he does take a trip with Jake to where he well.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
don't-
No, this is in order. This is in the right order. They go to lunch, and then they
Lunch at his side girls, Eva Mendes, by the way,
well they go to lunch with the big time judges.
the three wise men.
Yeah, the wise men, and they talk about Vegas again, and
Which
Alonso,
they reveal that
yeah, he killed a Russian higher up.
yeah, who turned out to be somebody.
Yeah.
And now they're demanding Alonso pay them $1 million.
Yeah, by I think it was midnight.
By midnight that day.
Yeah.
So we start the day at 6. He's got until midnight that same day, or I guess technically the next day, in order to settle his debt with the Russians.
Yeah,
And so at this point, actually, man, dude, I'm sorry. There's so much going on in this movie. Before
Yeah,
they
okay,
meet
so-
the three wise men, they actually go to
they have to have gone.
the fake
Alonso's
warrant.
place first.
They go to the fake
Yeah,
warrant.
and so they go to Sandman's house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And basically, he has a Chinese menu. He presents it as a warrant. He goes in, he rips through some stuff, he grabs some more money, steals money from this lady essentially.
Yep.
And then
then they dip.
Yeah, and it so happens to be if you're into music, I think it's, what did I say? Macy Gray, I think.
I think it's Macy Gray.
Is the one actually, she also calls him a rookie.
It is Macy Gray. Yeah,
You're a rookie. That's what she says to his face. She's like, "Come on, lady, give me a break." So basically, Alonso robs this woman.
Yeah.
And before they go in, obviously he gets the police jackets on, so
Yeah.
everybody knows. Important piece that doesn't seem like much. He pops the trunk. He has a bunch of like appliances, kitchen appliances,
boxes of
Yeah.
stuff.
and I think Jake even asked about it. He's like, "Oh, that's just some stuff. Give
Yeah.
out to the neighborhood or whatever."
Yeah.
Or what? And so shuts the trunk. That's a small thing that becomes important later.
Yeah, and
So they
and
do
then they go
to
to
the three wise men.
no, they go to the barrio, where he's like, "Don't ever come here without me."
Oh yes,
And then they have the little break.
I guess
And
that's.
then they go to.
I guess technically that's officially lunch because he gets food
Yeah.
from his side girl. Eva Mendes, very awesome actress, very attractive as well. But basically that's his side girl, and he has a kid with her.
Yeah,
It's in the worst part of town. So this is, all these things are so, that's what I love about this. Every single thing in this movie is important.
Yes.
There's some things in movies that you just see and they'll introduce a character or a theme or an idea, and then it doesn't amount to anything. And you're just like, what the heck? This
Right.
is an important place. So this is a place where even Jake knows. He's like, whoa, where
Yeah,
are you
like,
going?
why are we going here?
Like when they start to drive in there, Jake is like, no, why are we going here?
Yeah.
And Alonso says like, hey, don't ever come in here without me.
yeah,
He's like, everybody knows who I am here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and this is, this
Yeah.
is kind of where I'm at sometimes.
which we learn is that's actually his house.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of this, so it's basically a one way in, one way out type of neighborhood. Houses just alongside, and ends in just a
Alonso's
giant
is
cul-de-sac.
all the way at the end.
Yeah, and his house is all the way at the end, the deepest part of this bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where even Jake,
Where
knows,
Terry
he's like,
Crews has the pigeons on the
Terry Crews,
who
bro,
he never even says a word.
he doesn't say a word.
He's just there.
There's an interview I saw on YouTube. He does an interview, I think with GQ or something like that. And he talks about that movie, how just important it was just to be there on set every day and to see Denzel. And he was there so much, and he's such a big guy. And Antoine Foucault was like, hey, do you want to be in the movie? And he was like, well, Heck yeah. So
Yeah.
he's not credited for it, but it's obviously him. He's the biggest dude, bald black dude. He flips pigeons, stuff like that. But yeah, he's Terry Crews in there. Love Terry Crews.
Oh, yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean,
He's great.
everything that he does, I just love.
And Dr. Dre's in the movie too. He plays. They've just got a bunch of like bit characters.
It's like if
Dr. Dre played Paul.
Yeah, if I was making a movie, I would just try to get as many cool people as I would want to meet in it too.
Yeah.
I would ask Dre and
so-
Snoop as well.
It's so funny.
But yeah, so this place is very important because it's very dangerous. You do not want to go there. Maybe you have a place like that in your in your city or area, but like this is a place
Yeah.
where cops do not go.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Alonzo does, but no
Yeah,
other
Alonzo
cops.
does, yeah.
And Jake definitely is. He's on edge as soon as they get in there.
Yeah.
So we are introduced to his side girl, I think, Eva Mendes, his son,
Yeah.
and basically Alonzo gets some afternoon delight while Jake
Takes
eats
a
some
nap.
lunch and hangs out with his son, takes a little nap,
Yeah.
and then they go to
Which is probably one of my favorite, like little like, it's like a one shot where Jake wakes up and he's like, "All right, man, I'll see you later." To the kid, like they're like buddies now. They were cuddling up for a nap, and they're just buddies now.
yeah, his son. So he eats and they're watching cartoons, and
Yeah.
by the time Alonzo comes back, he sees Jake has fallen asleep, and
Yeah.
his son is kind of
Has to have been like
laying on him.
20-30 minute nap max.
Yeah, I mean,
And then they go see the Three Wise Men, and then after seeing the Three Wise Men, the reason why they had to go and see him was because Alonzo needed a warrant, an actual warrant. And so they grant him the warrant.
which was gotten through bribe money.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And which is something else that Alonzo mentioned at one point was that anything can be bought. And so he drops, I think it was like 30 grand
Yeah, that
in the
was
back of a car. And
yeah 30. I think
got
it was
his warrant.
40, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
For this warrant.
Yeah.
And another good moment that I really liked from that, he's like, what? He's like, Jake asks him, he's like, what? How did we get this warrant? He's like, do you really want to know? And he's like, yeah, I want to
Yeah, I
know.
do.
And then he tells him
like,
what it
Yeah,
is. It's a warrant.
everything can be bought. And he was like,
He's like, I didn't want to
I
know.
really didn't want to know.
Man, and that's just so that
really
that
didn't
literally
wanna know.
sums up Jake's whole like
Yeah.
life in this movie.
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to know. Like he thought he wanted
Yeah.
to be
Absolutely
the guy
did
and
not.
work with this guy. He didn't want to know.
No,
He
but
didn't
he
wanna
keeps
know.
going. He keeps going with it because
Yeah.
he's already there. He's already in.
And you got to think like what's going through his mind is like he's like this guy's he's done this forever. He's very well decorated and well respected. Obviously, he knows his street IQ is off the charts, and he's thinking about. I think the whole time, honestly, in the back of his head, he's thinking about his wife and kid. He wants to provide a good life for them. But I think he starts to pick up as obviously as the day goes on, like this is a very life-threatening job situation he's in.
I think the answer to your question is that what's going on in the back of his head is the same thing that we all have in the back of our head. It's the same like moral conundrum in the Matrix is, do you want to know what has been hiding underneath you the entire time, or do you want to go back to your everyday life and not and pretend it doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Is we're faced with those in our lives every once in a while too, and we get to choose. Do you want to delve deeper into something that's unknown and learn something and probably get way too deep into it, or do you want to sit back and be comfortable?
Right. Yeah.
And
True.
sometimes it's as cool as being able to dodge bullets in slow time, and sometimes it's smoking PCP out of your narc officer's car.
Yeah, your potentially future boss's car. Another thing, bro, what I like about it is there's so many cool themes. Like one of the themes that gets mentioned a lot and you pay attention to is everybody's calling Jay Coy a rookie throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is something Alonzo says throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, it was mentioned here.
He says, "You want to go to jail? You want to go home?"
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say the other one.
Oh, what's the other one?
Which is to protect the sheep, you gotta catch the wolf, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf.
Yeah. You're just like, well, okay. I get it, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is another theme. He says,
Yeah.
but
Do you
he
want to
says a
go to
lot.
jail or do you want to go
to
home?
jail? You want to go home? He says that to Snoop. I think he says that to. Who else does he say that to?
Everybody.
Yeah, the guys who are raping the girl. I think he says it to everybody. He says, "Want to go to jail? You want to go home?" So that's another thing. So where we're at now, I know it's a convoluted story. Just watch the movie and you can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
We're kind of jumping around a little bit. So after this,
They meet up on the rooftop with the four others.
yeah. So they get the warrant from the three wise men. They bribe. They pay, I think, $40,000 for it.
Yeah. They don't tell anybody. Well, they don't tell Jake where they're going.
Right. They don't tell Jake. So Alonzo gets his the people that are under him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he has 5 guys that he manages, but I think there's only 4 guys there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he meant 5 guys and there's another guy that we just don't know, or Jake is supposed to be maybe the next.
I was thinking
or-
probably Roger was supposed to be the 5th.
No, because Roger doesn't work for him.
Roger definitely doesn't want to work for him. That's for sure. I don't know.
So-
It's
so-
probably something that we missed.
But there's 4. But anyways, there's 4 guys there that are on his team. They meet on this rooftop. They're basically, talking about the game plan and what they're going to be doing.
it's basically like a SWAT team mission to take over this guy's house.
Yeah,
To go get the guy.
yeah,
And as soon as they bust the door in,
So it's important to note they go around the back.
they go around the back.
because I think Jake would have noticed if
Oh,
they
yeah.
went on the front.
Yeah.
who it was.
Yeah, because it's Roger's house.
Yeah, so,
They were just there.
yeah. They were
An
just
important
earlier
thing,
that day.
an important part that we missed is that Roger was talking about how he almost had enough money to just up and get out of there.
Yeah, to
Right.
retire. He wanted to go to the Philippines or something. And
Yeah, and just retire
yeah,
off of whatever money that he had. And they go in with the warrant, and Alonzo goes, "Hey, man, they're telling me I had to come in and seize all the money."
yeah. I think he said something along the lines of that they're taxing him
Yeah,
because these powerful rich men in the police
yeah,
force. He's like,
They
how
need-
they are.
yeah, they need
They've got
another
their
boat. They got-
mistresses,
yeah.
they have their boats. They have their, and
Yeah.
they need to fund that somehow. And they're like,
Yeah.
we're taxing them.
and then
Because-
Roger was like, "Well, you might as well take me out of my misery while you're here, then."
yeah,
And that brings up the whole. Alonzo looks at Jake and tells Jake to shoot Roger, and Jake's
Yeah.
like, "No, you're joking."
Well, before we get to that, Roger has $4 million.
Yeah,
underneath
in,
his house
in the kitchen.
And another thing, again, this is Jake just being like, no, I'm a good cop, is they said, hey, look, there's $4 million here. And they start passing out some of the money.
Yeah.
$250,000 here, $250,000 there, but he gets a cut.
Yeah. They said, He said,
Alonzo's-
"There's $4 million here," and then and Alonzo's like, and the police seized $3 million.
Yeah, you just
started passing
he
out.
says, Jake, you've just been part of a $3 million police seizure. And he's like, wait, there's $4 million here. And then he was like,
Yeah, and we get to scrape a little off the top for ourselves.
hey, yeah,
We're
it's
doing the hard work.
It hasn't paid. And he's like, look, and then it passes out. And Jake's like, no, man, the only checks that cash are the ones that say, LAPD on them, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
I still wish Alonzo had taken out a Sharpie and wrote LAPD and gone, "Here you go, kid." I thought that would have been would have been the moment.
yeah. So basically, they get this money from underneath they cut through his kitchen floor or whatever.
Yeah.
There's $4 million. They take $1 million for themselves, split it up amongst them.
Yeah.
And then, so basically that money is for Alonzo, I think, because he needs to pay off his debt to the Russians. Right?
Yeah. Well, we learned that we're gonna have to skip through because we're running short on time. So I'll skip through the brass tacks of it.
Yeah.
They seize the money, kill Roger, and stage a police report. Basically, it's because they have to.
Right.
And this is another one of those moments where Jake is like, "No, man, I'm not doing this. You're fucking crazy, and I'm not going to be a part of this." And Alonzo reels him back in and is like, "These guys aren't leaders, and you are.
Yeah.
And someone's going to have to take over my spot."
Which was also set up earlier.
Yeah,
the first time they met Roger.
Yeah,
because
it was.
Lonzo is like, look at this, he's so green. And he's like,
he's got the same look you got.
You were just like this kid, and he's like, no,
exact same look you
like
got.
This. He's like, oh yeah, you were.
Yeah, which
just
is
wanting to save the world. Right?
Exactly. And so it reels Hoyt back in, and then they go to.
That's where we get to the point where he says, they're doing this to me, and he's like, well, we can take you out of your misery, and he was like, yeah, and then he's like, no, seriously, Jake, and he gives him the gun.
And so that's when they kill Roger. Everything goes down, and then they head back to the barrio, where Alonzo is like, see, I'm not all bad, and like takes all of the appliance boxes out of the car to go do some community service, and has Jake go with him to go inside of this house to drop it all off. And then Alonzo's like, I'll be back, it'll be 2 minutes. And Jake's sitting there real awkwardly while a bunch of these like gang members are playing poker on the table. Yeah. And they open up the box, and there's just cash in there. It's not appliances.
No, actually, the cash was inside the blender.
Yeah.
So there was a blender inside, but inside the blender was cash.
There was cash. And they're like, "Hey, man, come sit down, come play around." And he's like, "Oh no, Alonso's gonna be back real quick." And they're like, they allude to like, "No, man, he's definitely not coming back."
They basically peer pressure him into a game of poker. Hands. They get him to take out his gun.
Yeah, and they start playing around.
Take the bullets from him.
And then Hoyt loses his shit and flips the table and basically like.
Well, because he realizes they said, "Hey, dude, there's nobody here for you." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then he's like, "Look outside." He looks outside. He realizes,
the car is gone.
Alonzo left him there.
Yeah, and
then he realizes what's happening. He's about to.
Yes,
these guys are going to kill him.
Yeah, it all clicks that. That spoilers. It was a setup. This was not a training day.
Which actually, I don't know.
This was a cover up.
Which actually, I don't know if you caught it, but when they were after. The whole Roger situation, he didn't take the money, and they have another, like before they talk in the car, where he's like, "Look, you can do this. You can make changes, but you have to play the game for a little bit. Then you can make changes." And he does a whole heartfelt speech.
Yeah,
I think. But before that, if you listen, Lonzo's on the phone. He's actually talking to the Ace, and he's like, "Hey, get that tub clean." And I don't know if you caught that, but I did not because Jake is staring at it from outside the car, and you see Lonzo on the phone, and it's very slight, but you hear him. He's like, "Yeah, man, get that tub clean." He was literally on the phone with him saying, "Hey, he was getting it." So prepped. Now he takes him there,
and so he's expecting them to kill.
Gives him the
Jake.
money, gives him the blood money, leaves. Jake realizes, and then,
but as they're giving him the shakedown, getting ready to put the gun to his mouth. They search for his wallet and pull out the wallet of
let's take his
of the teenage girl that he saved earlier, and they're like, "Where the fuck did you get this?" And he's like, "I saved this girl earlier. It was in an alleyway. There were these two guys. They were trying to assault her, but we stopped it." And they're like, "Nah, bullshit." And so
because the guy who has the gun is about to
kill the cousin.
His niece.
Yeah. Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And so he calls her and is like, "Hey, what happened?" She's like, "No, nothing happened. He's like, "No, really, what happened?" And she tells him, and he goes, "What'd this cop look like?" It's like some like skinny white boy.
Looked young.
Yeah, young. He's like, he's telling the truth.
So
let him go.
So because of the fact he got out of the car, the thing that he did right in the midst of Alonzo doing all these bad things, the one thing he did right saved his life.
Yep.
He was in the bottom of that tub. They were about to blow his head up with a shotgun in the tub, and he's begging for his life, saying, "Look, I have a wife. I have a baby girl.
Yep.
I have a baby girl. Please don't kill me."
He's like,
"Ugh." And so guess what? That saved his life. And
and he was like, "Hey, man, it's just business."
Yeah, he's like, I know. They're like, "Hey, nothing personal.
It's just business.
Yeah, and let him go. And man, at this point,
and he returns back to the barrio.
Well,
he took the bus to the place where Alonzo said, "Don't ever come in here without me."
Yeah.
And anytime someone's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm here for Alonzo," and they're like,
Well, dude,
"Yeah."
but dude, here's the thing though that's important is you see the age, like it's like he aged like three or 5 years in
It's
one day.
significant.
Because the look on his face while he's on the bus, he's putting his gun, he's making sure it's loaded, he's walking up. He's not scared anymore to go in there. He's on a mission.
Yeah.
Like he has
and they know too.
Yeah, and they're like, what you'll see, he goes in, they're like, I'm here for Alonzo. They let him through. He gets in there and basically opens the door
And
to
calls him out
and says, hey, he's like, put down all your guns, put them in that bag, give me the money. He says, you're not making your appointment with the Russians.
Yeah.
And I think he has like 3 guns on him, and then there's a shotgun underneath the bed
Yeah.
that you didn't know about. They have a shootout in the house, a fight over the rooftop.
Yeah, and then a bit of a shootout in the neighborhood.
Alonzo's getting ready to leave. Jake jumps on his car from who knows how many stories.
Yeah.
Lands on his hood. And then they basically like fist fight for a little bit.
Yeah, and then the whole neighborhood like starts crowding around, and Alonzo's like, "Oh yeah, it's over for you, buddy."
Bro, this is where the most iconic line in all of
improvised
whole
one.
movie, the improvised one.
Yeah.
But anyways, Alonzo tells everybody, he said, hey, I'll make you rich. Somebody just killed this fool.
The first person to put a bullet into his head, I will make a rich
You're
man.
a rich man. And then I guess one of the main leaders of the
Yeah.
cul-de-sac.
And he walked out, tossed his gun, and said, you do your own
He said,
dirty
you gotta put in your own work here, homie.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, it's like that. He's like, yeah, it's like that.
He
I think that's
backed
the bag.
It was pretty
That's
good.
the line for
I
line.
like that. That was a good one.
And so
I was like, damn, these people hate him.
that, and then of course Alonzo, he's like, okay, look, you're not gonna shoot me.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, I'm a cop. He puts his badge on.
Yeah.
Around his neck. He's like, come on, shoot me.
He turns around and
turns
go
around.
pick
He's
up
like, what are
the
you gonna do?
gun.
Shoot me in the back? He's like, they'll put you in the gas chamber for that. You know what the gas chamber smells like? It smells like pine oil. And then so
He turns around.
he turns around. He turns around and Jake shoots him right in the butt.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in the butt. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
And
This is
then-
the first time Alonzo's like, oh shit.
And then he changes his tune a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay, come on, man. Let's work this out.
Yep.
Like, he's like, and then,
And then-
he takes his money, and then this is where Jake says to him, "You want to go to jail? You want to go home?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I just want to go home.
I just
Jay.
want to go
I just
home.
want to go home. Let me go home. Let me take this money. Let me go home."
And then
he
Jake
says
was like,
no. "Yeah." He's like, "Nope." He takes the money. He leaves. And
then-
this is where
yeah. And then this
Denzel
is
says-
where Alonzo just loses
he
it.
goes off.
He's like, he's expecting somebody in the neighborhood to just pop him one real quick. He starts going off, and the line quite literally is,
Oh my gosh, so good.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Dude, amazing. You know what? I watched an interview with Antoine Fuqua, and he said, you know what? He said the scene, he said when we recorded that, he said it was blurry. He said it wasn't in focus or something. He said he was like, I can't use this. And they said, you have to use
Yeah.
it. Nobody's going to care. That is the scene. That is the
Yeah, I
moment.
didn't even notice.
And Denzel was like, I noticed it, but I was like, it didn't
matter.
No, it didn't matter because Denzel is being Denzel.
Yeah,
like
it
he's
works.
doing his thing. And it
Yeah.
is freaking amazing. It's one of the coolest lines that I think Denzel has said in any movie ever. And when he goes off on his rant, and man, dude, it is just Denzel at his finest, man. And so,
And they all walk off.
and they leave him. Yeah,
They know he's a dead man.
they know. Yeah, they don't got to do anything. And
Yeah.
so he does the only thing that he can. He gets in his car. He's headed toward LAX. He's about to get out. He's trying to get out of town.
And they catch him.
They catch him.
They knew, and they obviously they knew.
Yeah, and
Like,
so
how do you? This man's got to get them $1 million in what, a week? Nah.
and and basically Russians show up. They surround his car on his way to LAX, and they freaking just shoot up his car until he's. I mean, he's dead. He can't do anything. So
And then Jake Hoyt goes home, wakes up the next morning, and he's a cop.
dude, but one of the things too, and I love this so much about this movie. I want to talk about this for a few minutes. We got a few minutes left. Is the fact that one of the things that Lonzo said to Jake is said about Alonzo at the end of the movie, which is he says, what is this, a spokesperson for the police department, you know, and
he said
that he survived because he
survived by his wife and his kid,
infant child, and he said, "Is that what you want to hear on the news? Is that what you hear on the news about you, Jake?" Because they were about to kill him at Rogers because he didn't take the money. He threatened to kill Alonzo in that moment. He had a gun on Alonzo, which we didn't talk about that part, but Jake was so uncool with it.
Yeah.
And that is when, and again, Alonzo defended him. He's like, guys, he's like, this guy's got the drop on all y'all. This is a real man right here. This is a real leader. And I think that's a true moment where Alonzo saw himself in Jake. Yeah. But at the same time, he's like, I can't let him mess up my plans, which is why he went on the phone and called, what's his name? Said, hey, you need to get the tub clean. Yeah. And you need to take care of this guy. And he set all that stuff up. Another thing that we met, again, it's these little lines here and there. He says, you've been, Jake, what does Jake say? Oh, man, you've been planning this all day. Because
I've been planning this all week.
Yeah, because he tells him, he said, you made me do those drugs on purpose so that I could, so if I get drug tested, I'm fired and I can't provide for my family.
Yeah, you've been planning
this all day. And he's like, boy, I've been planning this all week. Yeah. And it's just like, bro, dude, like Alonzo is freaking, like,
it was cool to see the whole setup.
He's just a badass character. Like, he's one of those characters you love to hate in like a good way. Like, he's such a good bad guy. Yeah. That's also like, he's got the riz, dude. Like,
he's morally sound. Yeah.
He could convince you of anything. You just like listen to the guy. Like, yeah, dude, this guy makes sense. Like, he's the guy that's gonna push you past your moral limit, and he'll make you feel good about it. But at the end, he's just a criminal. Yeah. He's literally no better than any of the criminals that like Jake's been talking about locking up the whole time. Yep. Is like, and he got so high off of his power, off of his protection from the people that he knows in the streets and the people in the neighborhood, and the three wise men. Like, he's just so arrogant and puffed up on his own self. That's what led to his own downfall. But see, because he's a big fish, right? Or he's a big fish in a little pond. But when he went to Vegas, he took his big ego with him. Yeah, and it turns out in trouble. Yeah, maybe he could deal with the drugs and stuff like in his city, but he can't handle the Russian mafia. He can't handle the Russians. So he took his big ego out into a bigger pond, and there were much bigger fish there.
Yeah, did not work.
Did not work for him. But it is like, this whole movie, guys, seriously, watch it. Because every scene, and watch it again and watch it again and watch it again. I think I've seen this movie 5 or 6 times in my lifetime, and it's just so many.
Don't watch the TV series.
Oh, there was a TV series?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that, so I'm not worried about it. But
it's in 2017.
Oh gosh. Yeah, watch the movie.
See the plot of this one.
but guys, this movie is insane. To me, it's like it's perfect in the way that it tells a story. I can't imagine any moment that could be done better. It's one of those things where it's like the whole time I'm engaged, I'm like wanting to see what happens next. I don't really have time to take myself out of the movie and think about what I would change or, this doesn't make sense. Like, it all makes sense. It all flows together so perfectly. There's so much action and suspense, and you're just like, it's got a great twist. Like, you know what I mean? And the thing I like about it is it has all those themes that they set themselves up. Alonzo, just from the beginning of the restaurant, the fact that everybody's calling Jake a rookie, the fact that he says, hey, you want to go to jail, you want to go home. Jake uses that line on him at the end. The whole setup with the him stealing money from the small time girl house.
He worked his way up.
And then he has all the appliances in the trunk, which sets up for later. The fact that Jake fights those hobos that were raping that girl sets up for later. Like, I love that everything is so intentional in the movie. Yeah. And everything that you see is important. It's important and it pays off later.
There's no filler.
Yeah, there's no filler. There's no empty like questions. At the end of it, you have a full, satisfying, Denzel Washington movie.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington being Denzel Washington. And it's just entertaining. It's suspenseful. Like, I mean, I think when we were watching it together, it was like a little stressful.
Yeah.
You feel the stress
Yeah.
from like his life. It's just kind of like, oh my gosh, dude. Like,
literally anything that Hoyt did was not enough.
no. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
I
he'd
mean,
sit there and crack a joke, and then no one would laugh.
that's true. Poor Jake.
Yeah. They'd be like all comfortable, having a great time, and then he'd be like, yeah, yeah. And they go,
Why you?
who's this guy?
Yeah,
So it's uncomfortable.
yeah,
There's not a moment of comfort at all. Well, except for the nap, the 2 naps.
yeah.
He had a nap in the car and then a nap at Alonzo's place.
Yeah.
But those were drug induced.
So, what a movie, man. I mean, overall, what do you think?
It's pretty solid. It's one of those that like
Out of 5 stars, what do you think?
out of 5 stars. We don't grade movies here.
How about
I would say that there's a scale of like movies that fit within a genre that people like specifically.
Yeah.
And then there's movies that are so good that you could take somebody who says they don't like movies in that genre
Yeah.
and they'll enjoy it. And I feel like this is almost pushing into that space. Right? It is a very specific genre movie
Yeah.
that is almost to the point where I could tell somebody like, hey, you would enjoy this regardless.
I think there's a lot of, especially in this time, there's a lot of these cop movies.
Yeah.
Are kind of
Yeah.
crossing
Well,
the line.
yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Like it's a psychological thriller. I think that's the actual like place that it's in, but it's also a buddy cop movie at the same time. And there's a lot of people who don't like action. They don't like buddy cop. They don't like psychological thriller.
I love all those things.
Yeah, it's weird. It's hard not to, but it does push up on that line of like, oh, you could tell somebody like, hey, if you want something that's like that keeps you on the edge of your seat, this is it.
Yeah. I was like, who doesn't love that kind of stuff? And then I remember that there were people who like The Rise of Skywalker. So I was like, there's a whole group of people.
There's
out there.
people for me, the Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker is the Transformers movies. And there's people who love the Transformers movies and they're 13-year-old boys.
Bro, you know what? I Transformers was such a thing that I loved as a kid. I stopped watching the movies after a while because they were just bad. But
Yeah.
I hate to say it, bro. I'm gonna watch the Beast one because Beast Wars was my thing after school. I'd come home and watch Beast Wars. It was probably my favorite Transformers series. I'm gonna watch it. So sorry. I don't know if I'm gonna like
It's
it,
okay.
but
You sit back and go,
the Beast Wars specifically are just it's so close to my heart. But anyways, like for me, when it comes to movies, like real good movies that I like, this is one of those ones that I'm just like, dude, it's always gonna be good. I will never get tired of watching this movie. It's so good to pick up on those small little things. Like I don't remember when I realized it. But it wasn't the first time I watched it either. When I realized, I started listening to what Lonzo was saying, which you can hear faintly in the background in the car, when he says, "Hey, get that tub ready and cleaned up or something." I was like, "Oh!" And it's one of these movies that you can rewatch. Which to me, I don't know how you mark a good movie, but for me, one of the ways I can mark a good movie, there's several things. One is like again where I'm engaged fully. And I don't have room to think like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, or I would change this, or this could have been done better.
Yeah.
Another one is, can I rewatch this and still enjoy it? Because some movies you watch and it's good, but you're just like, I don't need to see this again.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend 2 hours doing something, it's not going to be rewatching this movie. It'll be watching a new movie or rewatching a movie that I do love. You know what I mean? This is a movie that I can rewatch and I want to share this with people, which was I wanted to share with you when as soon as you were like, I haven't seen that movie, I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
we gotta see it right
have
now.
to watch it. This has to be the next one. And hopefully you enjoyed it.
I did. It was a very enjoyable movie. It's a very smart movie, and I like smart movies. And I also like it's not. I hate when people call like plot points in a movie a twist because.
Sorry, I did that.
It's okay. Every movie is supposed to subvert your expectations somehow. And so calling it a twist makes it sound like it's like a special little gimmick that the movie has. But no, that's just a storytelling device. It's a good one.
And I think they did.
And when it's done well, if it's not an M. Night Shyamalan twist, if it's done well, it subverts your expectations to a point where you're not just like, oh, wow, I had no idea that was coming. But instead you go, oh, shit, I could have seen this the whole time, but I didn't. And that was one of these.
Oh, my gosh. That reminds me of, well, maybe we'll do this one at some point. Predestination with Ethan Hawke.
I haven't seen it.
Bro. All right. Well, maybe not next week, but at some point.
No, you're watching one of my movies this week.
Yeah, we'll watch one of your movies this week. But all I got to say is, guys, please watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's so good. I highly recommend it. You will be entertained. I think it still holds up today. Like, it's not a movie that you're just like, oh wow, you could see that product of its
it's
time.
old. No,
I think but when it was
2001.
2001 is what 2001, 22 years ago.
Yep.
That's crazy. 22 years ago, this movie feels like, if they released this in theaters, it would be one of the best movies.
Oh yeah, that's out right now.
And it did. I think they won an Academy Award for it.
Yeah, it was October 5th, 2001. Did they win an award for it?
Yeah, I think they did. But what's it called? That's what I'm saying is, like, it would be a good, like, when you look
at it's best actor in a leading role, best actor in a supporting role.
So,
and they got both of those.
So Denzel got one.
And sorry. Denzel won. Ethan Hawke was nominated.
And did they get another one? Okay. But man, like, trust me, in the past 22 years, I've seen so many bad movies that if this movie came out tomorrow, I would watch it and be like, wow, this is a really great movie.
Yeah. You'd be running around going, hey, everybody, you need to go see this right now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
like, forget John Wick 4. You're gonna go see. It's better.
I literally saw John Wick 4 last night with a buddy of mine, and it was entertaining, but it was not Training Day good. It was not Training Day good. So, anyways, I don't know if you have any other things you'd like to say about the movie, or
wrap it up.
Yeah, man. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't seen this movie, please go watch it. If you have seen the movie, I would love to hear some of your favorite lines, some of your favorite themes. What is your favorite scene that you like from the movie? I mean, there's so many, again, there that you could just break down and talk about. Again, we could talk for another 30, 40 minutes about this, but let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, do all the YouTube things. You know what it is. It's YouTube. So, of course, we got to ask. But we love hanging out with you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I hope your day is everything you dreamed it'd be and more, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, full-time movie fans, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you had a good time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We want to hang out and discuss the movie with you. So don't forget to do that below. Have a good one. I hope your day is everything you dreamed it'd be and more.